Okay, so there's a few things you might not know about me. Gossamer Filchner was my father, of the West Bank Filchners. And Pater Momentane, maiden name, later Pater Momentane Filchner, was my mother. She was a drunk. I loved her very much. My father, on the other hand, was an industrialist. And he was never there for me, and he was as sober as can be. So when I hear stories about people whose family was ruined by alcoholism, I don't really identify with it, because alcoholism was my mother's way of coping with what my father put us all through. So she was more of a quiet drunk, the kind of gal who would she'd slip into a closet, and I mean this literally. She'd slip into a closet for much of what she was doing with the drinking. And I know this was, I started to become aware that this was a problem at about 6 years old. And it was the year the Super Nintendo came out, and I hoped so much that I was going to get one for Christmas. I hoped and hoped and hoped against hope. And so I just couldn't stop thinking about it. It was like from September onwards. It was a crazy year to be a Nintendo fan. And 7. I mean, imagine wanting to buy the Nintendo Switch, but you had to wait like from March till your birthday in October or whatever to get it, because your industrialist father and your beloved drunk of a mother didn't know what else to get you. They get you the Super Nintendo before your dad could afford it. You know, if they get it for you too early, what are they going to get you for Christmas, right? The idea of 20 video games for it didn't occur to them. They were rich. But, okay, so I was really anxious about the Super Nintendo. It was one of the biggest deals in my life at that point. What else did I have to live for? The love and approval of my father. So I was really excited, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I started looking through the closets, right? I'm looking through all the closets in the house, and this is like a 20-bedroom house, and my father was a major industrialist. Don't think that I think I'm better than people. Most people, most cultured people, I don't think that. Anyway, so I look through closet 1, closet 2. I'm not finding any presents, so I keep looking. You know, if I found the closet with presents in it, I would stop looking. But I found something in the closet of drawing room number 3 that rocked me to my core. And it was the first of the closets where I found this, and it alone was enough to fill me with such dread, you know, such unmitigated terror about the implications. Even then, my young mind grasped what this, you know, revealed about my mother and her situation, because I knew she had problems. You can't live with an alcoholic and not realize there's a problem, even if you're like a child, because the behavioral shifts are so evident, especially in someone who's using it as a coping mechanism, because you'll see mood swings that are just unlike something it's, I don't want to get into it, but I found enough half-full liquor bottles, clear, dark. I avoid alcohol strenuously to this day. I still do not know what those were, but you could probably have run a bar, like a literal retail bar, out of just drawing room number 3, the closet. And it was surely not a Super Nintendo, so that shook me pretty bad. I kind of freaked out for a couple days. I stopped looking through the closets. I was like, I cannot do this. What if there's more signs like that? But the curiosity, the shock at discovering the depth of my poor beleaguered mother's alcoholism, you know, I was a kid. It gave way to just let the Super Nintendo go. Like, I already knew which closet. I figured she's not going to hide the Christmas presents in the same closet she hides her brewery. So I just started looking around. Again, I resumed the search a few days later, looking for other closets. And what I found was that did find that she had, that wasn't, Drawing Room 3 wasn't the only brewery in town, let's say. It was 20 bedrooms, 5 drawing rooms, the den, the library. Almost every room had closets and like for the servants and stuff, for their materials, their cleansing equipment. And 25% of them had squirreled away, not just a bottle. I'm talking about full racks. Because these are all walk-in closets. Like, so 2 of the closets had closets. So I kind of confronted her, and I knew this wasn't a sign of like my mother's problem. This wasn't my mother's doing. Like, however deep into it she was, I knew that every new closet filled with bottles was a sign of my father's, the immiseration of our family and the like total loss of any cohesion as a family unit we were feeling, and what that was doing to us as individuals. I lay entirely at my father's door. He was always like, I've got to go. He would be gone for like 8-9 hours of the day, and he said it was because he had to work. And he'd come home and he'd play catch. He'd ask how my day was. He'd sit with my mom and they'd watch movies together. And this whole time you could just feel it. He was fake. I don't know how to put it. You could just feel it. He was like, today at work it was really hard. Like, it was hard for you to be gone all day? Mother would just stew about it. She'd be like, that man spends almost a third of his day at work. 8 hours every day. I just know he's seeing. It took me years. I didn't know what seeing someone meant. I thought she meant like he was having an audience with someone at his job. But she must be right, because what on hell is on earth? Why would a man leave his family every day? Like, I had to live with that growing up. Do you understand? My family member would just, and then it was a little better when I was older, because after the homeschooling ended and I had to go to at least the last 2 years of high school to get accepted into college, like, it was like this stupid rule. Never ended up going anyway, but I went to high school, sure enough. And do you know what happened there? I'll tell you what happened there. It was better because I wasn't there to experience his absence, but guess who was? My mom. And I had played the hell out of the Super Nintendo by then, I was becoming a young man, and I was ready to change things around the house. So one day when my dad came home from work, where he apparently was more important than his family, I found a letter opener from his desk, and I stabbed him to death. I think my mother always suspected it was me, but I made sure I didn't leave it. And he was such, like, I guess he was like a really prominent industrialist. So there were all these theories in the media, and especially with the police, they just never suspected his 16-year-old son. I think mom did. She always treated me a little different after that. Not really in a good way. I thought it was going to cure her alcoholism, but I guess the pain and the memory of the pain of what she went through was so extreme, that she was actually pulled deeper into it. And she would always talk about the blood and how much she missed him. But it's like he wasn't there anyway. He was always at work, whatever the hell that is, it sucked because for whatever reason, I don't understand it, but they said we were out of money on the house. We couldn't live in our, so when the moving crew saw mom's bottles, they were horrified. But she's just like, we're paying you, and she's like, they're like, no, the state of California is paying us because you guys have no money. And we're like, why not? And I guess it ends up that dad was like a pretty good, whatever an industrialist is, whatever that means, he was pretty good at it. But because we don't get to live there anymore. I never did get to go to college. Our debt was too enormous. Enormous is a word that they used. And mother actually killed herself. I just showed up at the family house, just got the call, right before I started making this video. So I gotta go see what that's all about. I'm sure she didn't mean to. She was probably just drunk. Yeah, we live at this facility now. But yeah, I gotta go take care of that. So thanks for lending me your time, and I just wanted to let you in on the backstory of why I drove around.